happening, YouTube fam? So I'm live streaming from Waikiki right now, and it's kind of overcast today, but then the sun came out for a minute. I was playing music with a friend of mine, and it's fun to be live. It's fun to be live down here. But I had to get online and talk about the Gillette commercial, right? The Gillette commercial where they're saying men need to do better, where they're saying men need to stop sexually harassing women. Okay, first of all, this isn't the 1950s. I don't know. I mean, I can count the numbers of the number of times I've seen something like the sexual harassment that I see alleged in that commercial on one hand, in like the last decade that I've seen, that I've witnessed personally. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying that, you know, that there's still guys out there, you know, behaving poorly towards women. I'm sure that still happens, as there are women who behave poorly towards men. I don't see a commercial about that, though. Isn't that interesting? You know, I don't see any commercials by these giant corporations, you know, protesting parental alienation, which is a serious thing. There's like 1 million dads in this country who don't have access to their own kids, with no criminal record, with no history of violence or drug abuse or anything, and they don't get to see their kids, you know, just based on the say-so of some unconstitutional kangaroo court. They call it family, quote, court, quote, family, you know. It's anything but family. It's more like destroy the family court, right? You know, I don't see corporations protesting that. Here's the thing. The weird backwards way in which they... It's a busy street. It's going to get loud. There's the number 8 bus right there going to Ala Moana Center. The way the corporations are portraying reality now in 2019 as if it's like the 1950s, you know, I haven't seen that kind of sexual harassment literally in like years. In years. I'm sure it still happens. I'm sure there's some guys out there somewhere still doing it. But I haven't personally seen it in years. And then they also stopped these 2 kids from wrestling or whatever, and they're trying to portray that as like a really negative thing. Kids wrestling is a super positive thing. If you actually read the psychology behind it, especially young boys, but young girls too, they need to have rough and tumble, roughhousing play. It's like super beneficial for their personal development. There's numerous studies about it. So when they pull the kids apart and say, oh, you know, stop roughhousing, you know, and then they conflate that scene with the 2 younger boys roughhousing with, like, you know, this other scene where there's like a group of like teenagers picking on one specific kid. It's like, you know, those are 2 very different things. It's so ridiculous. The whole thing is so ridiculous. But here's the real ridiculous part of the whole thing. Gillette is a corporation, a giant, massive corporation, which, by the way, charges women more for the same products that they sell men. I mean, they sell women's razors and they sell men's razors. They charge women more for the women's razors than they do men for the men's razors, and they're the same fucking razors. So you know, in here you think that Gillette is like this hero for women or something. Not only that, but the Gillette parent company is Procter & Gamble, possibly one of the most evil corporations that has ever existed on the planet. Procter & Gamble has done atrocious things all around the planet. They've committed straight up genocide in the Philippines. They've exposed all kinds of American workers to carcinogens, asbestos. A lot of their products have hormone disruptors in them. So, I mean, here's a corporation that's literally making men not men, protesting the actions of men from like a bygone era that I don't even see anymore in 2019. I'm sure it still happens somewhere sometime. I'm sure somebody's gonna pipe up and say, oh, I got sexually harassed or whatever, you know. I'm sure it still happens, but it's just so rare. It's just so rare. And for Procter & Gamble to pretend like they have the moral high ground to give us some kind of, you know, lecture about how to behave. I mean, this is Procter & Gamble. They're one of the most evil corporations that has ever existed. they're gonna pretend like they can tell us, you know, how to act and how to be, you know, better men or whatever. It's just, it's disgusting and pathetic, and it's laughable. That's like Joseph Stalin telling you how to have manners. It's like, okay, you committed a genocide on, like, you know, 10 million Ukrainians, And now you're gonna tell me about my table manners? I don't think so, you know? But it's telling to me that so many people got so excited about this commercial. They're all just completely caught up and bought up in the corporate media, the corporate narrative. You know, they have the video editing, the high-end video editing, and the actors, and the soundtrack, and the lighting. They get everything just right, and just, you know, our little monkey brains are just like, oh my God, this speaks to me. Finally a commercial that speaks to me. Yeah, it's a corporate product by one of the most evil corporations in all of history, Procter & Gamble. Look up Procter & Gamble, okay? Just look them up. And you're gonna pretend like they have the moral high ground on any issue? I don't think so. I mean, you know, who's worse than Procter & Gamble? Monsanto? That's it, that's the list. Monsanto is worse than Procter & Gamble. Other than that, I mean, I'd say they're like #2 most evil corporation on the planet. I mean, unless I'm forgetting one for now. I don't know, Goldman Sachs, they're pretty evil. But it's just, and then the way they portray men, you know, and the way they're just trying to make men so, like, you know, politically correct and polite and stuff. It's just like, dude, like, they're already chemically neutering us. Literally, all of these corporate products, especially Procter & Gamble, they've got all these corporate products with all these hormone disruptors, all these BPAs, all these things that are, I mean, men now have less testosterone than at any point in human history. And it's all a direct relation to the corporate products, the plastics, all that kind of stuff that's in all of our food and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, and then on top of being chemically neutered, they're gonna, you know, put out these kind of commercials trying to, you know, social shame us as well. And not only that, I mean, social shame like our grandfathers. I don't even know, like, some of the things that they show in that commercial are so backwards, and like I haven't seen anything like that in years. I mean, maybe in my whole life I've seen instances like that like a handful of times. And I'm 42. It's not like I'm 17, you know? You just don't see that kind of behavior very much. And yet they're gonna claim, like, you know, they're doing this great service to society by, you know, proclaiming that men need to do better. It's like, it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, I can't even. And this is Procter & Gamble. I mean, literally, they probably murdered more people than Joseph Stalin. And they're gonna tell you how to raise your son or how to be a better dad or whatever. It's like, it's disgusting. It's completely disgusting. It's just another part of the false corporate narrative from the false corporate media. They're just lying to you about everything. This is just another example. And you guys are eating it up. You know how many people were sharing something positive about the Gillette commercial on my Facebook feed? Dudes too. Dudes were, yeah, you shouldn't complain about this because if you do, you're a bad guy. It's like, dude, compared to Procter & Gamble, you don't know a person who's as evil as Procter & Gamble. Literally, you don't know one. I mean, even if you know like a serial killer who's killed 50 people, they're not as evil as Procter & Gamble. So, yeah, I just, and people are sharing this. People are spreading the Gillette commercial. People are helping Procter & Gamble by sending their advertisement to other people, by talking about their advertisement, by promoting their advertisement. It's disgusting and bizarre. I don't even, just stop it.